the man who gave you 48 hours. Revolting, but so current. Need a little holiday feel? Shall I scare up the man who framed Roger Rabbit?
The killer is here!
You asked for it. You got it. Screaming for more? I have this little number from Superman's Supermaster.
They sought to kill you.
Doctor!
I wouldn't count on it, but you can count on my directors. 3 Tales from the Crypt, June 10th on HBO. It's a night to dismember.
Warning, strong content. Parental discretion advised.
Universal Pictures is proud to present the motion picture directing debut of one of America's most talented and respected artists.
Cut! Cut, 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 cut! Oh, hello, kiddies. So glad you could join me. Your pal, the Crypt Keeper, has gone Hollywood in a big way. I'm directing my first feature film. Frights! Camera! Action! It's about a chase through the ages. A race against time. The war between good and evil.
Come on out, everybody! It's time to play!
And the final battle between man...
I'm sorry.
...and demon.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I lied.
It stars Billy Zane from Dead Calm, William Sadler from Die Hard 2, and Jada Pinkett from Menace to Society. Ooh, I love those titles. And you'll love Demon Knight.
They're here! The demons are here!
And ladies, if you think Demon Knight is too gross and yucky...
Whoa!
Thank you!
Alrighty, gang. We are going back into anthology territory. No, not Doctor Who, not MST Brigade, not Twilight Zone. Tales from the Crypt. Comic book adaptation. That was the first to feature the whole HBO brand. It's not TV. It has, run for 7 seasons, 3 movies, 2 earlier movies, as well as other local convention appearances of the Crypt Keeper, played by stand-up comedian John Kassir. HBO in recent years has lost the license, so it is not streaming anywhere, but you can watch every episode on YouTube or get it on DVD.
Yeah, I looked at the price for the whole collection.
It keeps going up. Yeah.
Well, I think I saw it on Amazon Prime for like $50 for.
Wow. It's had a crazy history. I've had Dads from the Crypt on before, and they produced the podcast called How Not to Make a Movie, which has the head writers Al Katz and Gil Adler, who have worked on plenty of other...
That's where you got that name from.
Yeah, apologies. Yeah, I kept calling Gil Palmer and Gil Adler. Here with me tonight are, Gil Palmer speaking here.
Hello.
Hello, I'm your host, Sully. James, Vampire of the Hour, Bruno.
Hello, kitties.
Hello, kitties. Yeah, Tom, not Yoda, not Crypt Keeper, just Chucky.
I've been called worse, so I'll take that.
Oh, it's a compliment, yeah. Believe it or not, coincidentally, Kevin Yeager worked on the effects for both Chucky, and he confirmed in interviews that the Crypt Keeper's eyes are actually Chucky's eyes.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a show that was like hot for a minute. A lot of people talk about, but not everyone looks at. It's like they used to show edited reruns on Fox, Sci-Fi Channel, and even Chiller, and then it kept vanishing. But the How Not to Make a Movie podcast is great because the two lead writers explain all the other bullshit that went on the Bordello of Blood movie set, how it was a bad script, no one wanted to make it, and yet Dennis Miller was impossible to work with. We'll focus less on that. We'll focus on the good here. That this show is notable for crazy plot twists, outrageous guest appearances, and having a movie look.
Hey, man. Take it from me.
Babe.
You guys make this little podcasting you do. It makes the movie look like a Algonquin round table. Okay, babe?
hey, man. Hey.
Miller when he was funny.
Right. Oh, man. And John Kassir, the stand-up comedian, he had no improv experience, but he was on one of those HBO shared comedian sets, so the programmers knew his name, and the reason he got the gig was he kept winning Star Search. And
yeah.
He told the same free jokes in a row, and he kept winning because they were so fucking hysterical. And when asked, what was your inspiration? He's like, it was either this or sit on my parents' couch. And he has since gone on to do all kinds of video game voiceovers. He's even voiced the Crypt Keeper and other stuff like Animaniacs and Casper. And
they even made an animated cartoon for Tales from the Crypt
Keeper. Yes, they did.
Yep, they did.
The final episode, that was the same Canadian company. And I know James said you had seen it. I couldn't find any episodes online, but I do have an action figure that's from that edition. They made toys for the kids show version.
There is some stuff on Pluto.
Oh, sweet. And
because I went looking for Tales from the Crypt, and I found Tales from the Crypt Keeper on Pluto.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Perversions of Science is kind of a loose spinoff. It's kind of just mainly has a sexy CGI robot host, but it's a lot of the same stuff. It's got a lot of the same directors.
Portrayed by Maureen Teefy, who was in Fame and Grease 2.
Oh, that's who that was. Okay. It was a familiar sounding voice. I didn't know, but you can watch all those on YouTube as well. It's...
What happens when science goes awry?
I'm gonna get out of here and I'm gonna cut your heart off.
Mind games?
Like what?
Like this.
Wake up!
No one ever dies in their dreams, sugar.
Head games?
Oh, God!
What the hell have you done to me?
Shut up! I'm trying to think!
On HBO.
Daddy had it made for me.
Just about anything.
I can get used to that.
From the makers of Tales from the Crypt comes the new HBO series, Perversions of Science. P.S. Because a mind is a wonderful thing to twist.
You've gotten all just, turned around inside your head.
Wild how this is such a popular show, and yet there doesn't seem to be any light around the corner in resurrecting it, which is a shame.
I watched the first season. Now I look back and I'm like, I'm happy I got to watch it because it's like gallows humor.
Yeah. What's funny is the podcasts that are about the making of the show, they confirm so many hysterical stories about producer Joel Silver. And, since he's working with all his favorites, Richard Donner, Bob Zemeckis, and Walter Hill, he was reusing a lot of the same film sets and crew as Lethal Weapon in 48 Hours. He was one of those, you've seen him parodied by the Tom Cruise character in Tropic Thunder, but he was just one of those, it was one of those do as I say, not as I do. Apparently his office towered over all the people who visited it. So he's already kind of making you very insecure the minute you walked in there. He would do the infamous, as soon as I hang up, you better say yes. And it's like, dude, I appreciate you looking out for me, but I don't want to do this movie right now. You'll never work in this town again. Sport.
The extension of his manhood building.
I mean, I haven't talked to him, but he is a character. He's interesting also in that how this show has everyone remembers just multiple episodes. And I can only imagine the horror, so to speak, of just coming in the middle of one and saying, what is this? I've never heard of this, just realizing, oh, it's an anthology of the week.
I think that was on the same time as The Kids in the Hall.
I think so.
Yeah.
And the reason they filmed in Britain was just because Joel Silver hated the Screen Actors Guild so much, and he was like, I'm going to stop, just to spite you. I'm not going to follow your rules. We're going to go film in England.
I remember watching Tales from the Crypt I think it was HBO, back to back with Dream On, I think was the show.
That's what they would do. They would do marathons. Yep.
I remember there's a joke they tell in Mystery Science Theater. Stay tuned for Tales of the Crypt after Dream On. This is the best thing on TV.
I remember
that. I'm surprised they never crossed over together. It's kind of from the same bread and butter in a way. But yeah, they would reference the Crypt Keeper quite a lot on that horror show. What is your guys' kind of favorite Crypt Keeper segments? I'll say, looking in retrospect, the first season, the voice and the puppetry isn't quite there yet. It seems to be like a few seconds behind. But overall, there's just so many different ones where he's chainsawing people to death. He's getting ready to hang himself in an earlier episode. he's just
well, the one I love, the one I love is the one that Schwarzenegger did.
Yeah, we were just talking about that off air, and much like the Tom Hanks ones and Michael J. Fox ones, they're just so funny how they cameo both in the episode as well as just, it was a very fast shoot, and it just kind of gave it some more notoriety. And I think by season 4 and 5, this show is on fire. Like, there are so many other great guests and witty scripts. I love also just when the Crypt Keeper takes out the actual magazine that the episode is based on. I never really read the comic. It is kind of one of those like Sin City. Some episodes are way like watered down, and I think for good reason. It would just be too morbid.
I know.
Yeah, and
they pulled from other sources other than Tales from the Crypt comic. They also pulled from other EC comic books also.
Oh, sweet.
Some of those stories. I noticed that when I see the opening credits.
That's the shame here. No one can figure it out. If Joel Silver owns it, if HBO owns it, but it seems like EC Comics or whatever remains of their firm has gotten the rights back. But
well,
yeah.
Thanks to the Senate Subcommittee on Juvenile Delinquency in the 1950s,
mm-hmm.
They basically attacked EC Comics and pretty much eliminated their entire line, leaving them only with like Mad Magazine to publish.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. And there was another one called Crazy. And that was
a Marvel book.
Oh, okay. Wow. I didn't know Marvel did that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It was Marvel
EC Comics was the EC Comics is how I got into the show, because I was more familiar with that. I did a few projects in high school and college about comic books, and I talked a little bit about the EC comic especially, and William Gaines and
sweet.
And,
nice.
Yeah, and the whole thing came down to when I watched the show, I liked it, but I also kind of noticed there was some stuff that it felt watered down as compared to the comics, because back then when Tales of the Crypt, Vault of Horror, that sort of thing, those were really gruesome, and they were really, but there was always a sense of poetic justice at the end. I saw the same things in the TV show, but to go from seeing somebody decapitated to what I saw was a little bit of a step down, I'll put it that way. But the writing was solid, the acting was solid, and I'll go a step further. John Kassir did a fantastic job, sublime as the Crypt Keeper. One of the things that I noticed right off the bat was that so much of the stuff that he did reminded me of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and the little vignettes that Alfred Hitchcock did before his lack of a term.
Hitchcock is even in one of those episodes. I think Zemeckis does. He recreates them, but there's nods to Cuckoo's Nest and Hammer Horror and even The Shining in a few different ones. But like you say, it's just, even if it's not as gruesome as the comic, it's just, you still get a reward at the end where you're just like, see, this is a successful taking out the cookie out of the jar and being like, man, that was a hell of a delicious eat.
Yeah, and that and the other thing that I kind of go back on is going forward. There was a robotic skeleton on the Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
Yes,
Jeff Peterson, and
I got vibes of that too. I was like, it's robotic.
I got a serious vibes of that. It's like almost like the first, second season, they were kind of playing along with it, and then they perfected it. And then with Jeff Peterson, it's like they went backwards.
Yeah,
to great effect. But the whole thing is just, that had to be a really tight production, to be honest.
It really was.
To know your stuff.
The producers were really awesome at letting the guys have as much freedom as they want, but if nothing had been filmed for 3 hours, that's when they would come over. The hardest one to do apparently was the one Toby Hooper did.
The thing I think about when I think of that show is, first off, the music is Danny Elfman, right?
A great theme. There's so many
Right.
Treasure of the Sierra Madre kind of tells of just, people with greed just getting the best of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of winners. There was one episode I wasn't crazy about, but at the end it's worth it because they actually have the Crypt Keeper sawing Joel Silver in half with a chainsaw.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of their very meta is like, okay, you're going to be an asshole bossing us around. We're going to have you die on screen.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Yeah, and it's just listening off the, you remember this episode with so and so and so and so. Just I've been listening and just hearing all the names that were tied to this.
So many great TV actors, even martial artists and B-movie stars making rare mainstream appearances.
Yeah, and to be corny about it, I could say that was a killer's row right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna have to tell me who the guy is, but there's in the Matrix. There's a guy who betrays everybody.
Yeah, Joe Pantoliano. Yeah, that's the one with the.
He's in that episode with Joe Pesci, and it's just a small part. Richard
Donner reunion in a way, but yeah, they make use of the radio stuff quite a lot.
Yeah, and I'm just amazed that just listening to some of the you guys talk about some of the episodes and thinking like, well, this kind of relates to this show or this kind of relates to this movie as like,
but in a good way, without being derivative.
In a very good way.
Yeah,
they're not ripping off anybody. They're
copying and pasting,
doing homages to it, and in doing so, they've elevated the original source material.
I was kind of pissed that that they're not putting it on streaming.
Because ridiculous. Like, there's no reason for anyone to. I mean, can you imagine how much money they'd make? It seems like Kassir owns the rights to his persona, so he can go in person and voice the Crypt Keeper. But it's like the comic book, Joel Silver and HBO aren't flipping and aren't making it clear who owns what. But it would make crazy money. It would kill.
It's kind of sad. Yeah, I watched some episodes on YouTube tonight, but it was kind of poor videotape quality.
Yeah, there were plenty of them where I saw the logo and I'm like, I gotta get a different copy.
Yeah.
This is bad.
And I'm kind of ambivalent about it. On the one hand, I think you're right. It would do gangbusters if it was on streaming. The other side of the coin I'm seeing is would there be enough of a new audience to sit down and watch an anthology show that where it does take a little bit of time to develop and maybe doesn't have that quick payoff. Versus, I look at it from you have say you have a 30-minute show, you can do one 30-minute episode minus for commercials, or you can do 2 or 3 10 to 15-minute episodes with commercials.
That is very true. It pretty much like Who's Line. Every episode or an average sitcom, every episode literally breaks down to 20 minutes if you don't include the theme. And
yeah, and I'm also looking at it from the standpoint of like an attention span kind of thing. We have people who live on TikTok.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah.
So that truly limits what the show can do.
I know there's a new Creep Show TV show.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it. I didn't really care to, but I think what you say is a lot of truth. There is an audience out there, but you're not sure how much of it could still stop someone from just picking their phone up. And it's like, well, that's how this works. There's no reversing it. There's no
Yeah,
modify.
you have to let a story breathe. You can't just do it in do a redacted version where Crypt Keeper shows up for 3 seconds, you have one person getting killed, and then there's a snappy ending. It doesn't work like that. You need time for the story to breathe.
Instead of accusing them, hey, it ended too fast. It's like, well, you cut out all the development. I think the closest you're gonna get now with HBO, if you want to talk noir looking like morality tale with dark comedy, I think Barry's probably the closest.
Yeah.
If you want to go to actual dark fantasy horror sci-fi, probably the canceled Lovecraft Country might be the closest.
Well, the thing I've always said about Tales from the Crypt is, you go back 5 years before that, it was Tales from the Dark Side.
Yes,
that's right.
John Harrison, Romero's right-hand man, actually worked on both these shows. So,
and then if you go back even more, the gallows humor comes from Creepshow.
Yes.
If you watch Creepshow, and not the second one, but the first one.
Yes.
There's a lot of humor in that, you know.
Is that the one that has Ted Danson in it?
Yep. Stephen King. Yep.
And I can hold my breath for a long time.
Whoopsie.
Where's my cake? You know.
Just rare kind of off-color stuff, man. That's a good point too, though. I think if you did it nowadays, they would pick a comedian who's too distracting or not good at narrating, or they would just be too gross, like in your face, to where you're like this is just dumb.
Yeah, and then you also have to worry about the subject matter too, because some of the stuff that they covered in Tales from the Crypt, I'm not sure how much of it would fly today.
Yeah, a lot of
political correctness kind of stuff.
You could do the adultery, but yeah, there would be ones where it's like someone's been a stripper since they were like 17, and then there's other ones, like you say, incest or home invasions that are just very unnerving and too realistic.
Yeah, and beyond that, you're going to have people who are going to be freaked out by. I mean, you have people right now who are saying that Seinfeld was offensive.
Really?
Oh, come on.
Seriously?
Really, seriously.
I can understand not liking Friends, but don't tell me Seinfeld is an asshole. Oh my God. I think they're getting the person mixed up with the comedian, but I'm sorry. The damage is done. He's a good comedian.
It's not even the comedian. It's the entire show. Same thing with Friends. They're upset that Friends wasn't more diverse, and so that'd be another stumbling block. I think the only way.
Diverse. Oh my God.
Yeah, we have a blonde, a brunette. And
Aisha Tyler was dating both Joey and Ross. What else do you want? Oh my God. Ridiculous.
I'll never get that. I'll never get that.
It's like they're someone who's late to the party but wants to just keep nagging, and it's just like, you're beating a dead horse, and where were you when I needed you? Like, the lecture's over.
The only way I think you could even do Tales from the Crypt today would be more of a direct streaming service. More, I don't think like a Shudder
could do it.
Shout.
I think Shout would be good. Amazon
Shout would be good.
Pretty cool.
There's some other ones.
I mean, how funny would it be if Clyde Barker helped out? Then you'd really have a morality tell. It's the Pinhead and Crypt Keeper hour.
Yeah,
my face is not funny. Oh yes, it is, dearie.
You just jumped in.
The only movie reviewer, Jonathan Mark, is here to share some awesome stories of the Crypt Keeper. How you been?
I've been good.
Right, perfect.
How about y'all?
We've been kind of going into some of our favorite episodes. We'll let you share how you came across the show post 90s, post 2000s.
Well, it's really my dad's coworker who was a huge fan of the show at the time. He scared the hell out of me because he had like a Crypt Keeper
puppet
mask in his car. And he kind of scared the shit out of me there at the time.
Method acting.
And I'm like, thanks. So it scarred me for years before I could watch the show. And finally, I did when I was in junior high.
There you go. Nice. Get it
Eventually,
early.
became a big fan. I discovered Demon Knight as well. So
Yep.
There you go.
We haven't talked enough about that movie. It's like, say what you want about the other ones. It's like people seem to really love this one. It didn't take off was first release, but now people quote it. They love the villains and the cast, and
it's certainly the better of the two.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. From Dusk Till Dawn totally ate this movie.
almost a Tales from the Crypt movie.
Right? It was set. So this is a good time to talk about that. The Frighteners and From Dusk Till Dawn and a few other ones were meant to originally be episodes or movies, and the respected filmmakers all moved away and said, we're not waiting for Silver Pictures to adapt this.
Which I don't blame him, especially how Joe Silver is as a producer.
Yeah. Something else. I wonder if the AI he was shouting at was in the Crypt Keeper's voice for that recent getting fired from Amazon story.
Why do I remember a couple of years ago, like they were going on, somebody put something on Facebook saying, it's coming back.
I think they were building up the hype. Like M. Night Shyamalan was supposed to do a TNT version that never took off. And then I think we've been talking so much about social media and how today's audiences would destroy the show because they're not patient. I think some people loved it, but they were talking about it on social media.
They were going to redo it. And I think John Kassir was aboard to do it. And then it just fizzled out.
Oh, that sucks. I don't know why it's so hard.
I wish that happened.
Right? We're still trying to figure out the rights. And I thank you again, John, for introducing me to that Tales from the Crypt podcast, How Not to Make a Movie in Dads. It's just so many great stories from all these great storytellers. Yeah, I don't know how you would use it now, but it seems like the comic book firm is holding steady. HBO lost the rights, but I don't know if Joel Silver still owns any stake in it. I'd like to know.
Yeah.
But like they had a lawyer friend on Dads from the Crypt to debate it, and he still said it was very murky who owns what.
Yeah, it's like with Superman, for a while, they didn't know who owned it.
Really?
Was it DC? Was it,
The Salt guys had their hands on it at one time too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we all know how that turned out.
Marvel took over Malibu. Everyone's
true.
buying each other. Everybody's owned by somebody.
Yeah, if memory serves, I think DC took over the EC Comics stuff.
Yeah, they did.
That would make better sense.
Yeah, because they do publish Mad Magazine now too.
Oh,
yeah, they do. Which if you really think about it,
you could do a dark comedy version of Mad with the Crypt Keeper.
And if you really think about it, there might be a shot that
go for it. Just do it.
Yeah, if DC wanted to do a streaming service, I think Tales from the Crypt would fit right into that kind of.
Don't they already have a streaming service?
They did it briefly, then they shut it down and merged it with HBO Max. But like you say, you got to fire the vice president of programming first if you want anything to change, though. I would be so mad to be working for that company now. I mean, how do you make so many movies that will never be released legally and you can't put it on your resume or use demo reel footage? I would be angry as I'll get out. I'd be like, what? What's your take on Kassir's voice? Like, why does it appeal so much? Like, why is it so dead funny? Pun intended.
When you're a kid and you see a horror movie, there's like they used to do those horror anthology movies for Horror Hammer.
Yes.
It was always some British guy in like a dark robe going, and here comes this, this is like this high pitched, this like
greetings, yeah,
kind of voice,
it's like R-rated Scooby-Doo in a way, kind of, yeah.
And it's like, you're watching him and you're like, you're trying hard not to be frightened, but it's disarming. The voice is disarming.
It really does let your defenses down, shields lowered. It's like, take me on a ride, take me on a journey.
It's a lot like a roller coaster because you're getting seated in, and you're going to have fun, so you're really happy at the very beginning. So when the scares come, then it's like, wow, you are.
Yeah.
It acts as almost, for lack of a better term, a palate cleanser.
It really does. It'd be funny to do a survey of how many people were frightened to death versus pissed themselves laughing when they first saw it. It'd be funny to do a survey like that.
I always liked to me, it was always, horror camp.
Yeah.
So
you're just like, wow, here's his lair, and here he's doing crazy shit, and it's gonna have something to foreshadow what tale he's going to share with us. And yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, Army of Darkness would have fit in well with this world.
I'm really surprised with we were talking about the early guys they used, like Stephen Hopkins and Russell Mulcahy. I am really surprised that
Bruce Campbell
wasn't in one, or Sam Raimi didn't get a chance, but I don't know. Joe Dante should have been in here. Yeah,
I'm surprised Bruce Campbell wasn't on an episode of the show.
Oh yeah,
at least not from my memory.
We've checked. The closest we got was Tim Curry and a few other cold actors.
Was Sam Raimi's brother Ted in any, by any chance?
Let me check. The closest we seem to have is Kevin Yeager. But yeah, Ted Raimi. He was in a straight-to-video anthology called Tales from the Crapper. So.
Okay.
That's by Lloyd Kaufman. Oh my god. And Trey. Oh my god. James Gunn is in here as himself. Freaking Trey Parker from South Park. Wow. How have I not heard of this shit? Wow.
I was afraid to find that one.
I am afraid to find out. Yes. Wes Craven plays himself. Wow. Okay. The things you learn doing research.
There was a Tales from the Crypt movie in the 70s, right? So
right. Yeah, two different ones.
Does anyone remember who was in that?
Peter Cushing.
Joan Collins. Joan Collins was in.
Joan Collins and Peter Cushing. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also The Balls of Horror, which is another one that came out from Amicus, from another EC line. And that one had Tom Baker in it.
There you go. I just knew we were going to tie it to Doctor Who somehow.
So we had two doctors.
There you go. Yeah, true. Yeah, Cushing and Baker. Who are some of your favorite guest stars, John?
I always go back to Chris Reed.
Yeah, Judd Nelson.
There's so many I can name off the top.
It's a puzzle piece in a way. Seems like the Curry and Reed one got a lot of favor this episode, so it's fun. Even if one's just flat out lousy, I never have any regrets, just because they're doing something none of us could do.
Not from a lack of trying, mind you.
Totally. Even if the ending's just pretty lame, then I'm just like, still, that was fun. Yeah, I'd like to see it come back, but I think it's already immortalized. People are showing, kind of like how we were talking Mystery Science Theater earlier. It's the same kind of thing. People circulate the tapes and just laugh their asses off at it still.
Yeah, I think people would be disappointed in whatever new one they try to create. It wouldn't be the same.
That's also a possibility, I suppose. I don't think
it'll be as comedic.
Yeah, probably wouldn't be. I would like to actually see the South Park creators actually try something with it, or someone else who does a cartoon show, and just see if they have some off-color humor. But it might be too much for its own good. I don't know.
I think we have a pitch for South Park Studios.
There you go. But Demon Knight is a perfect party movie. Like, it's so laid back without being too lowbrow. It's just very straightforward, and the cast is dynamite. You got freaking CCH Pounder and
what's her name? The heroine of the story.
Yeah, Jada Pinkett and
Jada Pinkett.
Before she
was
crazy.
Billy Zane in that?
Yep.
Yeah, Billy Zane.
He was the
Billy Zane
villain.
and William Sadler. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sadler is the unlikely hero, and I like how Zane is literally kind of the Terminator warlock. He's just going to town. He's just
time to play.
Time to play.
Zane was really liking eating up the scenery in that movie.
Absolutely. There was no taking it down a notch, but it seems like everyone had fun making that one. Unlike again,
the next one.
And it sucked because Bordello was kind of my intro to it. I'm like, this should be entertaining, but it's really frankly boring. And I've heard good things about this show. So
yeah,
as a warning,
it's a prime example of the behind the scenes of it being better than the movie itself. So
absolutely. Even the ones that were in the unofficial Fox pilot that never got picked up, that had a young Brad Pitt as like a beatnik, and the Kirk Douglas, Lance Henriksen Pass of Glory tribute, those were pretty good, and were later included as episodes on the show. However, the one with that Frank Darabont of Shawshank fame that he writes, that has David Morse in a Western, that one is just so perplexing. And like, it begins, then it just ends. I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
It was the longest viewing of his life.
It was the longest escape of his life. I'm surprised Freeman wasn't on here. It'd be perfect.
Sometimes you make a TV show that'll last forever, and it'll be on streaming. Sometimes you make a TV show that won't be on streaming because you don't know who owns the rights. Andy Dufresne knew who those rights were from, but he didn't say anything to anybody.
Get busy slaughtering or get busy dying. Were you guys fans of John Kassir and other forms? I heard his voice so many times when playing Hot Shots Golf growing up.
I can't even picture the face of the guy, so I don't know.
He's a bearded kind of individual, but he's done so many voiceovers. You probably have heard him in a Disney or Pixar thing, but half the time he's like additional dialogue recording. But in Hot Shots Golf, he was great because when you're getting tired of people taking too long to swing the puck, swing the golf ball, you can start trolling them, and he's one of the voices saying, "You can do it."
Yeah.
So I feel like if there's any signature style for him, he's like the likable internet troll. He's riffing on you and then justifying his existence by being so clever. Ritual, which was the third unofficial movie, everyone do themselves a favor and never watch that one.
I see clips. That's all I need to see.
It's so bad. Like the puppet and mouth and voice don't even match up. And Tim Curry's coincidentally in that one too. He's like the head of this island where people are killing each other. It's like it's trying to be like a gothic mystery, but it's like, come on, Jennifer Grey, you don't have to be in this shit. Ugh, it's bad. It's like it was in development hell for like 6 years, and then they just released a direct-to-video in 2001. Like, jeez, frightening. I would like to see the Wishmaster host another reiteration of Crypt. He and the Keeper would get along pretty well.
Think about that.
When you think about it too, the Crypt Keeper himself, when you introduce it and they do the outro,
yes,
it was kind of like he was us,
Absolutely.
We would be thinking of like, if somebody thought that to me is like he's like our subconscious,
He's the subconscious, he's the voyeur, and the main theme is all Elfman, but if you hear it with the theme when it exits out every episode, it almost in a way sounds a bit like a demented Twilight Zone. I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing about that is, and the thing about it is that in the comics, that's what the Crypt Keeper was. He was the one who introduced the stories and came in at the end.
Sterling, yeah.
He was the point of reference. He was the gatekeeper.
Yeah. Oh, he might want to relock his gates. Just about everyone visited his castle.
There is no Dana, only Zool. I'll put in one more plug for the Amicus version of the film. If you are an anthology buff like I am, you will get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and just every little piece is
really
so
fun.
well done. I would also recommend Vault of Horror too.
Yeah,
just for the sheer fact that it's anthologies done well.
There's even times where some X-Files episodes and even the Dentist movies and Trilogy of Terror always feel to me like they could have gotten a Crypt treatment at one point.
Exactly. But if you're looking for the kind of bizarre humor, you can't. The TV show is where you want to be. But if you're more the anthology side, definitely check out the 70s movies.
Absolutely. For a show that starts off slow, it gains your attention. Like you were looking forward to it. You're laughing like a maniac, even when it's too over the top. There's just something very shameless about it. I would guffaw anytime John Kassir made an appearance on Robot Chicken reprising the Crypt Keeper too, because it was just like perfect. Even more dark humor. There you go. Get Seth Green. Either that or Idle Hands 2. No, don't do that.
That's pretty bad.
Idle Hands 2 is bad. You shouldn't watch Idle Hands 2, okay?
There you go. Mr. Hanky.
I'm Mr. Mackey, okay?
Oh, Mr. Mackey, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you shouldn't get me confused with somebody else, okay? Because I'm a unique individual, okay? Okay.
We'll say sometimes the Crypt Keeper will die.
Butt sex.
There you go. Let's get Seth MacFarlane here now.
Hey, Peter, you want to go down and see the Crypt Keeper? I don't know, quite fine, sir. Kind of did something to me the last time. What did he do to you? He showed me his bone. Oh, you mean his boner? No, his bone, like his bone on his leg.
That's a great Peter.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well, Peter, I've shown my bone to a lot of women. Wait a minute. Whoa, wait a minute. Whoa.
It's been a minute since I've watched that show, but apparently I don't know if they've ever made fun of Crypt, but I know at one point Brian the dog is like surfing through HBO Max, and then he finds up clips of real sex, and he's like, why is this not on there?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm like, Jesus Christ. No one else is going to get that reference.
Tired of blowing your own horn? Then come to Hawaii and leave everything to us. And you can Mona all you like a. Yes. Next stop, Cloud 9. All new Real Sex 9. Premieres Saturday, August 13th on HBO.
Oh.
But yeah, HBO is like almost an Animal Farm at times where you're like, yep, it's on there. I don't know why.
HBO during the 90s, if you wanted to see like weird shit, right, you would wait till after Tales from the Crypt was done.
Yes.
And then you'd watch Real Sex and you'd be like, what in the name of holy fuck is this?
I've shared it in your group. I'm still looking for this bizarre like cover up of like a couple who like hides their friend's accidental death after a sex party, and people start betraying each other. And I keep asking about it, and everyone's like, "Oh, are you referencing Go? Are you talking about very bad things?" I'm like, nope. This is a way more obscure movie. And
I think you're talking about My Life.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's a Bill Clinton story. There you go. Oh man. Oh, that took a dark turn. Oh shit. But yeah, I feel like people don't really know how to do shock value. It seems like Tarantino's the only one they let loose, because somehow even the dumbest person knows what they're in for. I don't know how.
You know what? If they ever, I'll take the proof. I would say if they ever make another Tales of the Crypt movie, and God knows they should, make it Robert Rodriguez directing it.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Planet Terror is as close to an episode of Tales from the Crypt as you could get without it being stamped approved, when having John Kassir showing up and saying, "Ah, kids."
I guess.
Oh, now I'm remembering when, Quentin Tarantino's parts were falling off in that movie.
Wow.
And you're just like seeing this, goop of skin falling down from between his legs.
Oh man. Whenever he dies on screen, it's the best. Oh.
No, wait a minute. Bordello of Blood. That was the Dennis Miller one where...
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Sure was, Cha-Cha.
Get this. We're going to have Chris Sarandon, but he's not playing a vampire this time. Get it? Corey Haim or Feldman. He's going to play a vampire this time. Get it? Dennis Miller. Here's why he doesn't work in this movie. Apparently, he refused to follow any line of the script. He just wanted to do his improvised stand-up bit. I'm like, my God. And then he wanted people to party with him when they wrapped that movie. And then he dished it on his HBO talk show. I'm like, for real? You're the reason it didn't work.
Who was the woman that was in that?
Erica. And, oh, yes. Oh, I watch everything she's in. But yeah.
What?
Angie Everhart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's a hot tamale. I tell you, she makes me want. She reminds me of Anne Bathory. Okay.
Very fun B-movie actress, but Erica Eleniak kind of just really hated making it, because like they kept rewriting her storyline to where she's like, I'm gonna just suck it up and get this over with. I'm the chick from E.T.
But that's not what anybody remembers her from.
Oh, that's right. Under Siege. My bad.
That's true.
Speaking of the Spielberg connection, did you guys know that originally Spielberg wanted to do something with the Crypt Keeper, but Joel Silver was an asshole and held him up?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, it's on the podcast. He introduced me to, but it's just so funny. It's just like, man, that's just something you just don't do. You don't hold up the best filmmaker of all time. Sure, I'm gonna buy a house for Kate. I'm gonna make you a star. I'm gonna do an awesome war movie. Everyone will get paid. It'll be fun. That's by Spielberg. I'm not sure it's much of an impression, but whatever.
I had this idea to make a.
Oh, there you go. It's got to be a little Jimmy Stewart-ish. Yeah.
So I had this idea to make a movie about, like, the great thing about making E.T. was,
What's funny is there are some Indiana Jones moments on this show also at times.
Oh yeah.
There's the one with Anthony Michael Hall, which is kind of a like it or hate it episode where it's almost like they're spoofing Ferris Bueller and John Hughes for like the first hour, and then at the end they find out there's like a giant vault with a tunnel behind the library. You're just like, that's weird, but okay. I dig it. And I already mentioned Short Round, but yeah, there's plenty of Gremlins moments, and I think Gizmo and the Crypt Keeper would definitely get along. Gizmo.
You're probably scared of him at first.
Yeah.
Get along.
I was mentioning earlier, John, how I don't think Barry or Lovecraft Country would exist without this show. People act like it's the first show that broke the rules. I think it was just the one that broke the rules well, because there was plenty of other risque stuff on there.
Oh yeah.
Football TV shows where you're like, what's going on? I do think Oz owes the most to it, especially how the narrator in the wheelchair just opens up. It's like,
well, I mean, there was Dream On, there was First and 10.
There you go. That's the football one. Yep.
That had what's her name from Designing Women in it? Delta
Burke, and then she left and Channing Free took over.
It's so funny how she's in more reserved material, but she didn't start off and stuff like that. Chris Maloney was on it too. It's like everybody was on that show.
All I remember is watching that show and thinking to myself, Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds is in this show.
Donald Gibb.
Yep.
Donald Gibb. Yep.
And I remember they had O.J. Simpson on as T.D. Parker. And I'm like,
that's right.
And then meanwhile, 10 years later, oh, guess what? I'm running away from the cops.
I love that impression. That sounded like a Keystone Cops. And that was before... He was on there before Naked Gun, I think.
Yeah, it was before Naked Gun, and
like Bill Cosby, man, he's a good actor. He fooled everyone.
Oh yeah,
he fooled a jury of 12 people.
He fooled us. He's a good actor.
My glove doesn't fit. I guess I'm not guilty.
Oh my god! Now I want to see the Crypt Keeper reenact that.
Look, it doesn't go on. I'm free.
That's why I was so glad it was a recurring gag on Seinfeld. There was always that incompetent lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Philip Morris, gotta love him.
Yep.
Facetious, it's a lie, and it's not true.
I'm doing it to win. Oh, so very fun having you guys on here. Anything you guys would care to promote in any way, any capacity? I know, James, you're starting your podcast soon.
Hopefully. If I can find a free platform.
Always doing some reviews.
What kind of free platform could you record from, though?
That's what I'm thinking. What could I use?
Skype you can use. StreamYard I think is a little more affordable. It's like $15 a month, but
okay.
StreamYard is okay. It's very easy to use, but it does have its hiccups. So
I might want just using Skype, just doing it that way.
I'll be perfecting my John Carradine impression over the next several days.
Yes. Oh my god. So,
are you going to bring the Mondo Fino again?
Oh god.
Night train to Mondo Fino. Night train to the end.
Oh man.
Look at my past and it's going.
I'm sorry.
Deep hurting. But I'm surprised he wasn't on here.
Don't forget my dance remix coming up. I have a techno remix I'll be doing coming out with next week.
Oh dear.
And it's several years after I died, which makes it even more impressive.
I know the oldest person they probably had on this show was what's her name from the Monsters. It was like one of her final roles. I think they wanted to get Betty Davis on one at one point too.
He died by then.
Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of someone else, but they were trying to get some famous star from the 40s. But yeah,
Hey Ray,
that might be it. I think. Yeah. Well, one of the Monsters was on.
Well,
one of the Munsters. I think they were trying to get Yvonne Carlo on to do one.
Yeah.
No.
But the thing I love, like, I can't imagine Betty Davis doing like the stroked out Betty Davis, doing Tales from the Crypt. I was looking at the Crypt Keeper.
She could have probably done one of the. There's like
she could have played
different...
the Crypt Keeper.
She could have. Oh wow, damn. She could have been in one of the. There's like 2 different Cuckoo's Nest inspired episodes. She could probably have been in one of those, but I don't know. Oh,
what a dump!
What a dump! Oh, you're fired. Oh.
What is some? I want this.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening. It's a jacked up